let's talk about our material editor, which is this icon here, or you can hit M on your keyboard and bring that up. This is your material editor. Before we get into this, let me show you what 3D Studio Max does when you create an object. I'm going to place a sphere here. Notice the color. Now, how did it choose this color? Well, the computer randomly picks a color from the object color selector here. So, if I go and I place a bunch of objects on the viewport, you can see that the computer's just randomly choosing these colors. And we're not stuck with these colors. If I wanted to change one, I could just click on this and then click a different color in here and hit OK, and it would change it. I could also add custom colors. If I go down to custom colors, and I could change it here by picking a color, or if I had maybe company colors or a specific color that I wanted to use, I could type the code in here and hit add color, and it would go in my custom colors, which you can have several of, by the way. And then you hit OK, and it would assign that. But you can get really fancy with the material editor, so let's go ahead and open that. And what I've done is I've kind of gotten rid of any materials that I had. So if you're seeing other materials in your library here, you may need to scroll down until you find a blank one if you're trying to follow along. But I'll just choose this one, and I'm going to assign it to this sphere right here. And this is the one that assigns it. So you select your object, then you select your material, and then you choose this icon, and it assigns it. So now that it's assigned, this object is now linked to this material. And you can see that it's linked because the corners here where they're solid white would not be solid white if I choose a different object, because this object isn't linked. So you can see that it's not solid. Click on this one and it is. So that's one way to know what is assigned to what. And so if I click on this diffuse, and by the way, the reason this is just kind of plain, it's gray, is because we've got a really plain diffuse here, plain ambient, it's just gray. There's nothing fancy going on here. As far as the maps are concerned, there's no maps assigned to it, which look great when you get into the maps. I'm going to go ahead and change the diffuse color. I'll click on this box here, this gray box, and I can change the color, and notice that it changed in the viewport. And since it's linked, anytime I make a change, it just links to that. So really, I could have several objects assigned to one material. So if I click this object and I assign it, I click this object and assign it, and maybe this one here in the back. Well, now anytime I make a change to this material, it changes it to all of them. See, all the ones that are selected to have that material used. Okay. The diffuse color and the ambient color are linked. You can unlink them by clicking here, and then you could choose a different different ambient color if you wanted. I'm going to hold Shift and Q. And then specular, you don't really see right now because we don't really have any specular level going on. So you can raise that. What that is the way the light hits that object, that little effect that you get when the light hits it a certain way. And you can change the specular color here. You could have it a totally different color if you wanted. And then when I render this out, this would be the effect that I get. You can have an object assigned to a material that is wireframe. So if you want to render your materials as a wireframe, you can do that. You can also choose two-sided, which this really wouldn't make a difference, but if you had an object that was open and you wanted to make it two-sided so that whatever was inside matched the outside, you could click two-sided. Also, self-illuminate. This is very popular. If you you choose, how bright you want it to light up, and what self-illuminate does is exactly that. It illuminates itself, so makes it really bright, almost like a light bulb or something. You can also have the opacity changed, and this is the transparency, or you might call it see-throughness. So you can see through. You could also assign a particular picture or something to this. Instead of clicking on the color here and changing the color, instead what you would do is you'd click this little button here off to the side where diffuse is. You'd click that, and then you would choose whatever you needed to go into. So if you had a JPEG that you wanted to use, you could double click on bitmap and then go search for that JPEG. You'd have to hit this so it would show up in the viewport. But that lends itself to a whole lot of options as far as that goes. If you want to copy one of these materials, you can click and drag and drop it over to the other one, and it'll copy over. Go ahead and reassign these. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these other ones. If you want to remove a material, so suppose I've got this and got it just how I want it, but then I decide, you know what, I wish I could just take this material off altogether. Well, in that case, you'd click this little icon here, and then right here, this green none, you would click and drag. It's got like a little green icon and then none. Click and drag and drop that on your object. Or in this case, we drag this one over. And then we're back where we started. Okay. If you click this, you can get a map or a material. There's different kinds in here. You can choose one of these and then just double click it when you're ready, and then you can assign it. If you've got a particular thing that you're looking for, like marble or checker, smoke, you can find different tools in here to use. Wood. So where would that come in handy on like a regular project? Well, let me go ahead and get out of this, and I'll open that flashlight file. Okay, in this particular scene, our table doesn't have any fancy map assigned to it. It's just a solid color. So if I click on it, you can see that this is the color of the table. Well, I maybe I want to choose wood and assign wood to it. Well, I could go to one of my materials here, and then under diffuse, this little button here next to diffuse, I could click on that and then find wood and double click it and then just assign that. And then for it to show up in the viewport, I'd have to click this icon here. So that's how this would come in handy in a practical application.